Very good. We'll begin. It's 1:30. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for the liquor control agenda for today. We have a few items. Number one is to approve the minutes of the October 15, 2025 regular meeting. We have the minutes in front of us. If there are any changes or corrections, please make those. Otherwise, if we're ready, we're for a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Excuse me, Commissioner, I have a question on.
Go ahead.
Minutes. On the note on the THC drinks or whatever, it says 0.3. So I was wondering if it's 0.3 or if it's 3%. I understood it was 3% as presented last time.
I am not sure on that, so I will check on it and then make that correction if needed, unless
It's 0.3, that's federal.
it is 0.3.
0.3, okay, so in some cases, I suppose that would be considered non-intoxicating, but I don't think that would, if you had 12 of them, it would. So can I make a recommendation without a motion?
What we're just talking about now is just to make sure it's correct on the minutes, but we can sure have a conversation.
Okay, should I do that now? It's just short, I just have a quick recommendation.
No, go ahead, Bob.
So what I think we ought to do is a little more information and research on this. For example, where they're sold, can all stores do it? Are they liquor store only? What does that mean according to an expert on intoxication, 0.3% versus 3%?
Go ahead, Nancy.
Thank you. So after the meeting, there was more discussion with Steve, and he actually sought to refer it back to council for further research and discussion on that. So I think there is still a question of legality. I haven't weighed in or opined on it at all from our office. So I do think that that is an appropriate recommendation back, is to consider the legality of THC.
Yeah, it would be nice
items in
if
the liquor
you
stores.
want us involved as a control board of these type of things, because we know that there's this kind of a snowball with this, although I think Minnesota is re-looking at theirs.
The other thing that just happened is the federal government weighed in with that, and so, Chief, if you want to, you know more of the technical details, but there's a lot of things going on there above our jurisdiction a little bit, but if you wouldn't talk about that, thank you, Chief.
Sure, yeah. The 0.3% has been the standard THC level in CBD-related products, hemp, the gummies, all of that, since that became legalized maybe 4 or 5 years ago, something of that nature. The federal government just did pass a new rule within the agriculture where all of this sits, that the level of THC cannot be more than 0.4 milligrams. So instead of 0.3% of a product, it's 0.4 milligrams total, which is very small, and this will essentially, to your point about Minnesota and every other state now, is kind of looking at their whole process, because there's no way, I think it's going to be very hard for them to put a product together like that, and it might kind of be the beginning of the end of that particular product line, perhaps.
Okay, all right, well, I appreciate that. With any information we can get down the road, I'd be interested in that, so.
So as far as process question, you're approving the minutes, you've got an agenda, you may wish to add that to the agenda and make a motion to recommend it back for further consideration.
Okay. Well, I'm ready to
Gotcha.
vote to approve the agenda, so.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second, and any other comments or corrections? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So then, so there's 4 items, and so 4C is other items, and so if that's okay, we'll add it in there, just so we make sure that we have that on the agenda. Is that okay?
Yes.
Angie, is that,
Yes.
so that'll be in 4C, just talking about that as well.
Okay.
Is that okay with you, Bob?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then we'll move on to 2A, and 2 is review liquor applications, and 2A is Spaghetti Western LLC, doing business as Spaghetti Western, located at 524 Broadway, a change to a Class F. Angie will get us started.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner and Liquor Control Board. So Spaghetti Western, they currently hold a GH license, which is beer and wine with food. they're looking to change to a Class F license, which is on sale only for beer, wine, and spirits. There's no bar. They have 80% of food sales already, so there isn't an issue there. And then they're looking to add a limited alcoholic drink list, so that is why they're looking for the F license. There's no current issues, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the new license.
So Angie, can I ask you a question? So like you said, they already have the wine license, so what's the additional fee?
The additional fee, I would need to check on that. I'm not sure what the fee is for the F license off the top of my head. Might be 700, 1,700, I'm sorry.
Okay, so they, and so that's, they already have the wine, and then this will be adding beer and spirits. Go ahead.
They already have beer and wine.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so the GH license is beer and wine.
Okay.
So then the F license, then they'd be adding the spirits, so they'd have the beer, wine, and so it'd be the full
Okay,
license.
very good. Do we have any other comments or questions from anybody on that? Otherwise, it came with a motion to, a recommendation to approve from the police from the background check as well, so,
Yes, it did. So looking for a motion to approve the new license, the F license for them.
okay. Anyone,
I'd move to approve.
we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or corrections? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And I apologize, Mark contacted me that he wasn't going to be able to be here today, and so I should have said that at the beginning of the meeting, but he did contact me ahead of time, he wouldn't be able to attend. Okay, so now we're moving on to 2B, HIWA Lounge LLC, doing business as Holiday Inn, located at 3803 13th Avenue South, and this is a license transfer. Angie?
Yes, so this is transferring from 3803 Spirits LLC to HIWA. The license stays the same, so it's the ABH license, the hotel with 100 and more rooms, the bar is allowed on-off sale. None of that is changing, that will all stay the same. So we're just looking for a transfer here. There are no current issues, so I'm looking for a motion to approve this transfer, owner transfer.
So can I ask you, Angie, obviously there's like a long list of all the people that went through the history. Can you talk a little bit about that? What is the reason behind that?
I'm not 100% sure, but I know there's 10 owners that are listed on this new HIWA Lounge LLC. I'm not familiar with them.
Okay.
So
It was just, that just seems like a lot of people.
it was a lot.
And so, I guess my main thing is we want to make sure that we have a good contact person. And do you feel that comfortable with that you have somebody that if there's an issue and for police or whatever, that there's, out of all those people, that there's someone that you know is the one to contact?
Yes, we do have that information. We have separate forms that show the local contact information for general managers, phone numbers and emails for them.
Very good. Any other questions? Like I said, that's a lot of people. And so, well, thank you for going through all the background checks. That's just a lot to do. Any other comments or questions? Otherwise, we would accept a motion.
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 2C, Roadhouse of Fargo LLC, doing business as Texas Roadhouse, located at 4971 13th Avenue South. Angie?
Yeah, so this is like the previous one. We're doing an ownership transfer. So Roadhouse of Fargo, we're transferring Fargo Holdings LLC, sorry. They are selling and transferring to Texas Roadhouse Holdings LLC. The license is not changing. It's still going to be the FA license, the restaurant with bar on sale only. There were not as many as 10 owners on that one, but there were still several owners on that one as well. But PD there were no current issues, so we're looking for a motion to approve this transfer as well.
So Angie, it's the same question. Do you, with that many names, do you have somebody that that you know as far as the direct contact, and you're comfortable with that?
Yeah, yes, yep. So we have like I said, more pages to the packet than what you have. So it has the local information, they have to list on there, the general manager, the local manager. If we don't have anyone local, we do, ask for that, so.
Okay. Very good. Any other comments or questions? If not, if we're ready to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any other further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, now we are going to... You know what, that was so many names on there, it's gonna take me a while, I'm a little bit discombobulated.
Yes, sorry.
Now we're going to D, Kimp's Kitchen LLC, doing business as Kimp's Kitchen, located at 1045th Street South. It's a beer and wine, Class GH. Angie.
Yeah, so Kim's Kitchen is a new casual, family-friendly African restaurant that's going to serve beer and wine. So they're looking for the GH license. They can sell beer and wine for on sale only. Their food sales must exceed 50% of their sales, and they are not allowed to have a bar. There were no current issues that PD found, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the GH license.
Very good. Anybody have any questions on this? So this is a GH and it's a new one?
Yes.
So do you know what's the amount that will be for the annual? I
I will need-
apologize for asking you questions, Angie.
That's okay. I didn't have that one written down. I have, we have 21 GH license out there, but I don't
Okay.
have the amount.
Okay,
1,800.
okay. Same thing, there were no concerns as far as the background check, so it's a recommendation from the background checks for an approval.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions? If somebody is willing to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is the Police Department Monthly Report, General Report, and Review Application Guidelines. Chief.
Good afternoon, Board. In terms of the monthly report, 2 incidents of concern from the same location that have to do with after-hours service and patronage. And I think this probably leads into a larger discussion because according to the current statutory changes, we're past the time frame to actually address the license issue. But I would defer to the city attorney to provide some additional context to this particular situation.
Thank you. So in the most recent legislative session, the state statute 50210 was changed to indicate that a person with information regarding a licensed retailer that has violated any of the provisions of the statute must be given notice and within 14 days of the date of the alleged violation, which is very short time frame after the alleged violation has taken place, and then there's an opportunity for consideration by the police department and/or auditor's office as to whether or not to present any violations to this body and then to the city commission for hearing. And the hearing, in accordance with the new statutory directive, is that the hearing must be not later than the next regular meeting of the local governing body, which is every 2 weeks, which doesn't take into account the existence of our Liquor Control Board and the review that is presented pursuant to ordinance on that. So, and it also provides that the notice must be mailed for the governing body meeting not less than 5 days before the meeting. So literally what's happened by statute is the timing of any violation has been crunched to the point where likely it's not something that the city of Fargo, under its existing ordinances, can comply with. Frankly, we already have procedures in place as to how those violations are brought forward for consideration. So we have been discussing what is the next step for the city of Fargo. We already have ordinances in place. We do believe that our ordinances under 4005 are preemptive. We had those in place. It is the city responsibility to manage and control the liquor licenses it issues, and the state changes may be in conflict. It will require further discussion, but unfortunately, if we're looking at the state statute, any opportunity for the violations that have been presented through the monthly reports probably have passed as far as time constraints by statute. So it will be a larger discussion. It is something for this board to consider, but it will ultimately be a city commission decision whether it wishes to challenge preemptively, proceed under our ordinances, assuming that it is our ordinances were in place prior to these most recent changes, or seek an attorney general's opinion as to the applicability of those changes, given the city of Fargo ordinances were already in place to address liquor violations. This is state statute. Again, that oftentimes applies to jurisdictions that don't have the ordinances and regulations that are in place already for the city of Fargo.
So Nancy, can I ask you a question? So could we ask for clarification from the state, or is that kind of the next step, or what do you recommend?
Yeah, that is what we discussed, but that would be something that the city commission could direct for the city attorney to seek clarification from the attorney general's office. And so to bring this to you, if that is your recommendation to the city commission, that will direct the city attorney's office to do that.
So is the state aware of this and the challenge, or is this like an unintended consequence that they weren't really aware of, or can you talk, or is it an unknown?
I can't speak to that. I
So,
don't know.
but anyway, but part of it is I'm pretty sure they weren't aware of the challenges this is going to create for us. Would you say that's probably true? Or-
I don't know the answer to that either.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Chief.
I would say that there were conversations about this particular law change, and I noted, like the person that I talked to, that potentially the time frame could be problematic under our current system. But, you know, and I passed it along to our, oh boy,
I can speak, help
Terry,
you out.
right?
Terry
thank you,
Efforts,
yes.
the lobbyist.
So that was passed along also during the legislative session, so that discussion could be had. And I guess it was decided to proceed anyway. So they were aware of it.
Basically, the next step is just to have them, we'll pass on what our issues are and have them look at them at least. Is that kind of, and if anybody else here has any comments, but to me, that's, and whatever, but go ahead, Nancy.
Yeah, that is, I think, an appropriate path forward to address the preemption issue that has been presented. If this body wants to make a motion to recommend that to the city commission, we can carry that forward and have discussion at that level for direction for request for an opinion from the attorney general.
So can I ask, so it's not the liquor control meetings, it's also the city commission meetings impact this. Is that what you're saying, kind of? That's what compresses the timeline. That's really interesting.
It is. It says that it must be brought to the next meeting of the, with notice within 14 days and brought to the next meeting of the governing body, which notice must be provided 5 days prior. It's really an unworkable timeframe.
And so to me, and this obviously they'll have to respond, but to me, one thing that could help us say, if the liquor control board, that would give us a little more time, correct? If that wording was changed, I don't know if that makes sense, but to me, the next step is to have the state help us a little bit, talk about what our issue is. Is that correct?
Agree.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
As far as our penalty matrix goes, can we still use this as 2 X's on their record?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
Well, my understanding is a citation wasn't given because it didn't have time to go through the process, is that right?
No violation has been brought to this body. It wouldn't necessarily require a citation. Again, that's a different standard, whether there's a criminal violation for after-hour service or if it's brought to this body for a violation of the liquor license requirements.
But as far as the Liquor Control Board, they've got 2 incidents, maybe not actual tickets or violations. Can we count this towards, we can't? No? Okay.
And so if you don't mind, Chief, just a little bit on this. Was this a new owner, do you, if you don't mind, and maybe you don't want to, but can you talk about the circumstance? Because something that happens, they don't realize what the expectations are.
Well, I don't know about that, seeing as how they had 2 violations within 2 weeks, but they are a new owner. This is a pretty newly licensed application that came through not too long ago. And so on the first one, on the 5th, the cops went through after 2 a.m. and observed about 40 people inside, large amounts of alcohols and bottles and glasses on tables and in people's hands. There was a DJ and there was dancing going on. He spoke to the manager at that time, checked his license, which was valid, and he explained to the manager that they were having a party. This manager also seemed to be quite young, and we're still, I think, trying to confirm if this person who said he was the manager was even the manager, because we weren't able to get a hold of the owner at that juncture. We did advise them of the violations. And then the second one was on October 19th, 2 weeks later. Similar situation after 2 a.m. Clearly, the officer could see alcohol all over the tables. Lights are still on, many people still inside. When he parked, they turned the lights off, and then the door was locked. And after a short time, the DJ came and unlocked the door and let him in. And again, he could have seen at least one person actively drinking during that time frame. He explained again to the same person who, I believe, well, no, a different person, I think this might have been the owner at that time, about the hours of operation. The officer even made a note in here that he was cooperative both times, so apparently it is the same person, even though I think the name is different. Well, maybe not. Cooperative both times, but does not seem to be taking my direction. So we're following up on potential issuance of citations. Might be a little difficult, but we're working on that, and I think the officers probably also aren't aware of this change in law, assuming that documenting this here and bringing it to the board would lead to some appropriate action. So I think that's where we've come to the situation we are now. We're getting that AG opinion so that we know what we're doing or what we can do, because this is going to impede that ability until that's decided, I would imagine.
So the other thing, Angie, is just to make sure that we know who the owner is, and maybe we could have a direct conversation with them saying, this isn't acceptable, because sometimes it's, the owner isn't aware of that. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I'm just to clarify that that's a violation. And anyway, I don't know if that makes sense, Chief.
No, absolutely no. Our folks will follow up on that end as well, and already discussed with Angie and Michelle creating a digital database for our officers, so they have the connectivity with those owners after hours. Right now, they may not have access to that information.
And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, that Angie makes sure that we know who the owner is and the contact information, but also the manager, so that helps everybody to do their job, but also to make sure that, because sometimes it might be somebody who is not authorized, and so, anyway, thank you. Do you have anything else to add, Angie? You got it. If you press the button and it's green, then you're good to go. Anyway, to translate for Angie, she will follow up on this, and I appreciate that. Go ahead, Chief. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
Not on this item.
We're having some technical difficulties, so actually, if anybody has anything, I'll hand you my microphone. So, do you have anything? Go ahead.
I think this could become a huge, huge issue if we're not able to address it. So I'd be comfortable making the motion to send it up to the city commission to ask for an attorney general opinion. I think we need to be proactive about that. And so I will make that motion. Let me know if you need nicer words from me to do that.
Is that a yes, Nancy? So we have a motion. Would you like us to have a motion and formally act on it? Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a motion and a second? Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Anything else, Chief?
Just item B, sir. Relative to review of application guidelines, now that we've gotten past that first full year of the new process in terms of the backgrounds and such, that will streamline a lot of that work, except for the addition of new owners or new managers, in which it's a little more work, but again, a lot less in terms of volume. The other piece of this whole scheme that we have to now put in place that was pending this first part is reviewing the application guidelines, because they really were designed to fit under the old scheme, and there's some gaps that we're finding now that we're moved to this other one. So really, I just asked the board for a motion to direct the city attorney to work with the police department to review those guidelines. And then, of course, from there, we would bring it back to the board for review and input.
That's great, but also if you wouldn't mind including Angie, just, and so we have
Sure.
this, and the city staff to be involved in that too. So can you talk a little bit about what you have, what's changing and what the challenges are?
Well, some of the guidelines, and I think we've had that discussion before, are there's a couple pieces missing, and there's some things that maybe are a little bit in conflict with each other. And I think now that we are doing, for most point, just a year look back for the people that are already established, maybe a different perspective. For example, this gentleman here who just opened his place, and within the first couple months, he's got potentially 2 violations. I think it's a different world in terms of my evaluation next time, at least to bring it to the board for your consideration, depending on what kind of things continue to happen here. And the other part of it is we're getting some folks who don't live in the state of North Dakota, quite a few actually. And under our current scheme, we don't have something in place to effectively check those backgrounds. So in a sense, we don't have anything at all about someone who is coming from Georgia or New York or all these other places that we're seeing. And of course, that could really, open up the door to some issues. And so I think for us to be able to make an effective evaluation of their ability to hold a license, et cetera, that we would just have some changes to make, both in clarity and in an application.
Okay, Nancy's coming up. Go ahead, Nancy.
Well, I'll come up because I don't have a microphone there. So one of the things that we've noticed is if something happened in the last year that wasn't captured in when the license was granted, it may have been a DUI or some, bankruptcy or something, the current guidelines look at if it's happened 2 times in the last 5 years. And so it really doesn't fit if it's happened within the last year, should it be brought to this board to consider whether that license should be reissued? So that's one of the changes for consideration. And the second consideration, as we were talking about it, is whether or not to change the background check process, as we have done for taxis, and require that the individuals applying for the license go through the FBI fingerprinting background check at their cost, and it's like an $18 fee to do that, and that will be our recommendation as well from the police department.
These are some things that we'll look at and that will eventually come back to us, but this is kind of the initial phase, is that correct?
That's correct. I would be looking for a motion again to direct the city attorney's office and the Fargo Police Department to review the guidelines and background investigation process.
Any other comments or questions on that? And basically, you'll be working with the attorney, but also with the city staff as well. So any other comments or questions? Otherwise, is somebody willing to make the motion?
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And now we're on to 4A, wine accessory license. Angie will get us started with that.
Thank you. I just did want to add, since with that database the chief was talking about, we do have something like that already in place, so we're looking at maybe just doing a view only so that anybody looking at it, staff members, the police department, they're unable to edit anything on accident or, something like that. So we do have their contact information, so. All right, so I did give you the proposed ordinance that, my understanding at this time, there was nothing to approve, or are we approving? I'm sorry, that was one thing. I don't know if Steve had this to approve now or if for you guys to review and then come back next month. It's for the wine accessory.
Yep, no, and I think my intention was this was going to be discussion today because,
Okay.
and it will come back to us if that's okay. And I think that's, if you recall that, that's what our plan was. So if you, go ahead, if you have something you want to add.
Okay. I don't.
So the only thing I would add is that this was approved in concept and said direct the city attorney to kind of draft the ordinance, which is what is now presented before you. I don't know that this draft has been disseminated for comment. I don't believe so. Or was it included in the?
No, this was just.
Yeah. So that will probably be something that we'll want to do, is disseminate for comment from any of the other, from the public to speak to this body.
Yeah, and that was our intention. So that's why this was kind of the first draft. And then we will also have it available, and because there are people that have concerns about this, and so you want to give them an opportunity to raise the concerns. One of them that I will say is, so the limit is there is a maximum of 2 bottles of wine per dining patron. Well, then if you have 4 people sitting at a table, that's 8 bottles of wine, if I'm correct. My math, and so to me, that gets to be, that's more like retail wine sales than just having a bottle recorked. And so this is just my own personal opinion. I think there's some of this that we have to be careful of, because I think what we were told initially was, oh, this is just resealing a wine bottle that we couldn't drink. Well, from going from that to 8 bottles of wine at one table, that's a lot. This is just my opinion. So I don't know if anybody else has any other discussion. That's just one topic. So, and I will say we'll have this at our next meeting as well, but go ahead.
I thought the same thing, just with, per person, it says person, customer, it almost should be transaction. So if you have, let's say a family of 8 that are going out there, instead of getting 16 bottles of wine, you really only have one customer because you have one transaction. So it should almost be, in my opinion, 2 bottles per transaction.
Any other comments? Or go ahead. Sorry about having that.
I have a bit of a different perspective on that. I welcome comments to the public, and it sounds like we'll have this conversation next time too, but if I'm going out to dinner with 3 of my friends, and it's 4 of us all going to the same household, we all like the same bottle of wine, I don't see an issue why me and all 3 of my friends shouldn't be able to buy 2 bottles of wine to take home after dinner. And so I have a bit of a different perspective on that. Welcome comments, like I said, but I'm not having those immediate concerns. But obviously I understand and appreciate your comments on that.
The other thing is, if you're a retail wine sales, your rules of business are different than a restaurant. And so that's the other thing you have to take into account. And so, seriously, if you're at a table with 4 people, that's 8 bottles of wine, that's retail wine sales. Well, then that's retail wine sales. That isn't a restaurant selling an additional bottle. That's 8 bottles. So to me, this is a big, it kind of started out as something small, and it's kind of grown as time has gone by. This is just my own personal opinion, but I just think there's things that we still need to get a little bit more, get our hands around a little more, if that makes sense.
I couldn't agree more, Commissioner. The other thing, I mean, some things have changed from what was presented by the two businesses that were really looking for this. And now it's unlimited. And this is how this stuff grows. And you have AB licenses that have paid for the privilege to do both on and off premise. Some of them do it over a bar, some of them, but most of them do it as a side package store. This could be very damaging to them, and I think unfair. And also, and I'm not going to get into specific examples, but how they price, can they give away wine free with dinner, with a coupon? All that kind of stuff leads to the pandering of alcohol. In other words, I can leverage this to do more business on this side of my business. And that's, in beverage alcohol, that's what we try to avoid. It's not like a lot of other businesses where, if you're not doing well, just go out there and be cutthroat and gain your market share. You want business to be done fairly, under city supervision, under state supervision, et cetera. That's just the way that beverage alcohol has always been. So I have a bunch of problems with this, as in our previous discussions. So yeah, I think we need to open this up to the trade, and let's hear, they may say, well, it's not that big a deal. They're not going to sell that much wine. Well, maybe they won't, but now unlimited licenses like this, these people will be in the on-off business for potentially up to 1/10 of the price of what people that paid for AB licenses. So I look forward that we're going to discuss this some more.
Okay, so this is going to be ongoing discussion, and I appreciate Angie's, but that was the concept. We'll have it, and so we'll have this proposed ordinance so the public can view it, and then we'll also have it for discussion at our next meeting, if that's okay.
Yes, that sounds great.
Very good. And so if that's okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that is the nonprofits liquor discussion. And Angie, I don't know if you're going to get it started or if we are. Go ahead.
Well, I will let you get that started.
Okay, so I'll just give you my comment. We had a license that we recently approved, but we did not know it was a nonprofit. That was not listed anywhere, as far as I know, on that application. And the concern for me is, first of all, if that is the case, that should have been on the application. But the other thing is, a nonprofit, there are lots of excellent nonprofits, especially in our area, but they have a competitive advantage. And so if we decide to do this, we need to address that. And so I am not in favor of having nonprofits competing with regular businesses because they have a competitive advantage. They may have a very worthwhile cause, but that impacts our decision. So that's just my 2 cents. And so if anybody else has any comments, I will hand them the microphone.
So, just give you a little background. I was in Mitchell, South Dakota, when I read the article that was in the paper of the Little Jimmy's. And when I saw the article, I'm very familiar with this type of business setup. They are very common in Montana and South Dakota. Little difference is the owner of those establishments lease the machines for gaming and have the same kind of a similar square footage of building size and also just regular small bar, which is exactly what this location is. Most of these places in South Dakota, when I was in Mitchell, I literally read the article, I looked over and I saw 4 of them within a quarter mile of them. They're everywhere. I don't know if Fargo is necessarily wanting to have that. Obviously, the public was not notified that this was going to be what it turned out to be. As far as a liquor board, the issue is a lot of these places are just like they're casino gaming where beer is not, just we were talking about with the wine thing, beer is not their revenue. A lot of places, it's either free, or it's $1, or it's, buy one, get one. That's not what they're in for. And if you read the article in the paper, the manager said, we're not advertising, we're here for gaming. I went back after seeing the article and I went, I don't remember this being a conversation because this is such a different business in Fargo Moorhead. Or Fargo, I should say. But, so I went back to see when I rewatched the broadcast from June, and it was brought up as a place to hang out. And from reading the article, which it's clearly a nonprofit gaming location that was misled to this board, was misled to the city commission. There was never a public opportunity to talk about this. So I would make a recommendation to revoke their license. I don't know if I can or whatever, but they clearly did not go through the proper channels, or even, I think they just flat out misled on purpose on what type of business that they have. So that's my thoughts on it.
So I guess my question for you, Angie, is what are our options? And maybe this is for the city attorney as well. What are our options? What can we do? And I agree that I wasn't aware that it was a nonprofit. And maybe we need to go back and look what was listed as far as the owner and the manager. So I don't know if you can help us with that.
I would refer, to Nancy. I know she'll have to come up here maybe. And we were not aware. Right, we weren't aware. We weren't aware right away, yeah. And the auditor's office was not made aware right away either about the nonprofit.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the discussion, but haven't been involved in any of these discussions, and so I really can't opine on what, if any, options are available to the city at this time. I do think that we can take a look at it and probably bring it back for further consideration, but at this point, I don't have any recommendations.
So for our committee, basically our option for today is just to request that the city attorney review this and look at what our options are? Is that what you'd recommend for a motion?
Yes, I think that sounds appropriate.
If that's okay, Scott, are you willing to make, so we have, and are there any other discussion? Okay.
It's like Lord of the Flies.
Well said, Scott. Just a couple things. I agree with what's said here. It is disappointing if we were purposely misled, which brings me to a recommendation that we look at as far as the rules of application. I think it would be a good idea to ask all license applications, those applying, to appear either before the Liquor Control Board and/or the City Commission in person. We've had instances where we've been flat lied to about business plans in the past, and that bothers me. And this could be that case, but maybe it was a misunderstanding. A little bit real quick about this movement. If you remember a couple of meetings ago, Steve Sprague brought this up as something we need to talk about before this issue even came up. And it is growing very fast in North Dakota. In Grand Forks, one of the largest bars in town is owned by a charity. Now again, inherently, I don't think that's a bad thing, but it's against, the way liquor laws used to be, where you wanted a resident of your city to be the person that you can go and talk to about problems, preferably an owner or majority owner. This is different. We're dealing with a different entity with charities. And also, when it comes to gambling and alcohol, there's a long history in fights over this about not letting them be commingled. When I was in the wholesale business, and they were changing the laws, we tried to become a distributor of machines because we knew the customers, we had trucks going everywhere, and we could make a profit on the machine, and the charity would get a split. Well, we were absolutely told no by the state and federally, as far as our federal liquor license. I won't go into all the possible consequences, but when you're dealing in a cash business, alcohol, a big part of it's cash, gaming, all the money going in is all cash. There could be commingling of funds that would give a type of business like this, not that that's what this place's business plan is, but it could give somebody a very big advantage over their competitors. And like Scott says, again, it could lead into pandering, because this business plan doesn't work paying $30 a foot or whatever it costs to rent space in a retail mall and sell a few beers a day. It apparently, they feel it will work because the $1,500 or $150 per machine per month will go right back into this group. That's what a bar pays or gets for revenue now. Plus, they'll get the profits from the gaming. So the gaming becomes the deal. And I feel we were kind of used for a $750 license. We weren't getting another entertainment venue or a normal place for people to stop and socialize. We're getting a little gambling hut. And this could spread really fast. If a place like this is successful, we could have them all over the place. And like Scott said, in South Dakota, and it's a real problem, because they do just give away free drinks down there to get you into their gaming space. Montana, same way. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for the comments. I don't know if there's any further comments, but I think we have kind of a general direction. Nancy, we have a motion basically to have the city attorney help us with that. And so if there's any other further discussion, I think we have a motion and a second, correct?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any other further discussion? Anything else? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Number C, letter C is other items. Angie, the scanners, if you want to talk about that?
Yes, so before Steve left, he did check with health on the scanners, and he wanted you guys to know that all of the ID scanners are currently loaned out.
That's great, Angie. So thank you very much for checking that. And maybe we can do a request to see if there's going to be additional ones made available, because
Okay.
I'm super happy about that. I think that's a positive indicator, and I think they're a positive addition to the businesses that are using them. I do think it's helping in a lot of different ways. And so to me, if it's possible to get some more, and then if there isn't, if it's possible, we could put that in the budget to maybe have some more that we would get as a city, because I think this is an indicator that it's a positive thing, and so I'm very happy about that. I don't know if everybody agrees, but to me, I think it was the safety council there was a state entity that had the scanners, but if there's more, and maybe there's other parts of the state that aren't using them, that we could get some more, I think that would be great. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, that would be great.
Okay, yes,
Okay.
I can do that.
Thanks, Angie. And so then, any other discussion? Otherwise, we'll move on. The last one was the THC, the specific discussion about that. So Bob, do you want us to talk about that again?
I think we're fine. And I think I kind of misunderstood. I thought this was a new line of drinks that were approved, beverages. So I was wondering where they were going to be sold, if it's the CBD stuff that they, put on their arthritis or whatever, that's obviously different. I was more concerned about what grocery stores and bars and liquor stores were going to be selling. But it would be good that we are, kept informed on this. Because again, I can tell you through my connections, the THC drinks that are being sold in Minnesota and South Dakota, bordering states, the volume is incredible. It's shocking everybody. And, I can give you a quick story that makes me scared of this. And not that I'm necessarily anti-cannabis. The public has kind of said they want it. It's voted on. Hasn't passed in North Dakota, but I had a job where I was not allowed to take any narcotics or drugs. It was in my contract. And so I went 40 years without any THC. Now, back when I was in college, that was different. But last fall, I was at the lake, and we were sitting on the deck, and my brother-in-law comes in, and he puts a can and we're having drinks, and he puts a can in front of me and says, "Here, Bob, I got something for you to try." And I look at it, and it says margarita on it. I says, "No, I don't like these seltzers or whatever." And he says, no, try it. And I said, no, I don't want to try it. And he goes, well, read the label. So I read the label, and there it is, THC 5 milligrams or whatever. I thought, what the heck? I'm retired. I'm old. It's been 45 years. Why don't I try one of these? So I had one can of this stuff. And then another sister-in-law and brother-in-law came over. Oh, we're out of wine. So I had to go to the garage to get wine. So I stepped out the front door at the cabin and landed right on my keister. And I couldn't walk on the path. Now, I've been around the beverage alcohol. I think I have a pretty good tolerance for intoxicating subjects, but this was a whole different deal. This was one can, and I could barely walk. So I take this very seriously. On the one hand, I think most of our retailers, et cetera, would like to be able to retail these if they're legal, because they're selling a bunch of them in Moorhead. A bunch of people from here are going over there and bringing them here illegally. By the way, Chief, I was in Minnesota when I had that can, so I didn't do anything illegal. But I just think it's a very important topic, and I think we should be held on it, because I think it's, we're the ones dealing with the liquor stores as this develop, et cetera, and the bars. And number two, I think it's an opportunity for the city to make sure how it's being regulated, licensed, taxed, fees, et cetera. So that's my rant for the day.
Perfect. Mr. Chair, can I just add to that a little bit? Thank you. I think that is a very important point. Thank you for bringing that up. Just for perspective, the number one category of impaired driving nationally across the United States is the impairment of alcohol and marijuana. And these THC drinks, just like their CBD gummy counterparts that have been out there for several years, are not regulated in any way. The consumer has no idea, although they're by law can only have the 0.3% THC in them. There's absolutely no regulation or testing to confirm that. And to your description, a consumer can get 0, or a consumer can get a whole bunch and have a pretty crazy reaction. And so I agree with you that this is an extremely dangerous proposition from that perspective. I think the change with the Department of Agriculture in changing that milligram, putting that 0.4 milligram, will affect the legality of it, but I think it will also come down to an enforceability piece that will require cities to create ordinances prohibiting that. And if they can't show that it has that particular amount, and the testing is always a piece, but just even in labeling, et cetera, that would at least create an enforcement mechanism. Because right now, that whole CBD industry is, in theory, regulated by FDA, who has no enforcement branch whatsoever. There's nobody that goes and checks. The label is not necessarily accurate, and so I think this is a larger issue of concern for the community. So thank you for bringing that up.
That's excellent. So thanks for bringing that up, Bob. And so this will be an ongoing thing, and you can update us, and there's literally legislation going on right now, and so this will be on the agenda in the future. So any other comments or questions? It's 2:23, so thank you everybody for joining us this afternoon. We are adjourned. Have a good day.